Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start our video with a story from a delivery driver who had one rule: get the job done, no matter how ridiculous the customer. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Delivery driver teaches Karen a parking lesson. Some context first. I'm a delivery driver for one of the big U.S. companies. Most days are fine. A lot of boxes, a lot of miles, a lot of caffeine. But every now and then I get assigned a route that makes me question every life choice that led me there. Today was one of those days. This particular route took me through a high-end neighborhood where the streets are somehow both ridiculously narrow and lined with expensive cars parked on both sides. It's the kind of place where the houses all have those live, laugh, litigate, energy HOA rules, and everyone thinks their street is a private driveway. So I'm crawling through the neighborhood in my delivery truck, sweating through my uniform in 110-degree heat when I pull up to the next address. The package is huge, definitely a flat-pack desk or some other piece of furniture, and weighs close to 80 pounds. I stop in front of the address, flick on my hazard lights, and hop out. I figure I'll be quick, drop the package, snap a photo, get back in, and move on. No big deal. Except apparently it is a big deal. Before I even get both feet on the pavement, this little old lady comes flying out of the house like a demon in pastel capris. She's red-faced, shaking her finger, yelling, "You can't park here!" I try to keep it professional. "Okay, ma'am," I say, "where can I park to deliver this?" Without missing a beat, she says the nearest parking lot for non-residents is at the tennis courts, half a mile away. I glance at the package, 80 pounds. The sun is melting asphalt. I'm already behind schedule, and this lady wants me to drag her furniture half a mile uphill? Then I check the label. Sure enough, the package is for her. "Ma'am," I say slowly, "are you Karen?" She squints at me. "Well, yes, but what does that have to do with you parking here?" "Oh, everything, Karen. Absolutely everything." So I smiled, climbed back into the driver's seat, and said, "Don't worry, ma'am, I'm not parked." I pulled the emergency brake, kept my foot on the gas, and left the truck in drive, seatbelt still on. Technically, legally, I was not parked. Then, while still pressing the brake, I wrestled that giant 80-pound box through the driver's side window, grunting like a power lifter. It took some wiggling, but eventually I managed to get it standing upright on the curb right in front of her, close enough for the delivery photo. I scanned the barcode, hit delivered, left with resident, and with the biggest grin said, "Package delivered safely, have a nice day." As I rolled off down the street, I heard her shouting, "Wait, you can't just..." But by then I was already gone, my mirror showing one very confused old lady staring at her new desk like it had fallen out of the sky. Sure, maybe there were better ways to handle it. I could have left a notice or called dispatch, but both of those would have meant walking a half a mile in blistering heat, and frankly, I'd had enough. Not my proudest moment of professionalism, but I'll admit, seeing her expression as I drove away made my entire day worth it. The audacity to know you ordered a package and still want to be nasty to a driver is wild. Like, if I'm not expecting a package and there's a truck blocking my driveway, I'm still not going to act up and wait and be patient. But the fact that she had to know she ordered a big old box and still had attitude? Girl, what? And our second story. He gave up a rare game for a refund, thinking he was clever. He learned what true scarcity looks like. I own a small board game company. I'm not a real retail guy. Props to those who are. But before the pandemic, I attended 2 to 3 game conventions a year, and of course we had a booth and I'd help sell our product there along with other team members. No doubt we'll return to the conventions once the black cloud lifts completely. To help y'all to understand, normally our goal at a convention is to sell 100% of our product that we bought. We hate shipping stuff back to our warehouse, so much that on occasion we'll sell excess stock at a slight discount on the last day, Sunday. But usually we sell out. Another important thing to remember is that our games are highly desired, and they're often out of stock online, so people are excited to see these rare games in person at the convention where they can pick one up at last. Often people will buy an extra copy to take to a friend who couldn't make the trip. Anywho, here I am at a game convention, and that guy shows up with one of my highly desired but really expensive games. But lo and behold, there's a ding in the corner of the box. That guy wants a discount. My argument here is you already bought this game. The time to ask for a discount was then. The guy lays down the law, either give me a discount or give me a refund. Me, no problemo, pal, and I give him a full refund in cash. That guy's amazed, but takes the money and walks away. I had no evidence he'd even bought that game at the convention, but I didn't care because I knew we were going to sell out. Then I find out what that guy's sinister plan was. He comes back on Sunday to see if he can pick up a copy of Highly Desired Game at a discount because it's the last day. Lo and behold, we have only 3 copies of Highly Desired Game remaining, and in fact, we are considering price gouging because people are literally fighting over who gets the last copies. We don't, though. That guy asked for his discount because it's the last day, and instead I sell all 3 remaining copies while he watches. Gotta wait in line, buddy. He even looks at the boxes to see that one like an hour after he turned it in. Nothing hits harder than that moment when an entitled customer realizes their clever plan just took them out of the game. The visual of him scanning for that dinged box like it was buried treasure is perfection. Retail revenge doesn't need to be loud to be legendary. And our last story. I'm a programmer. Hi, my name's Michael. I'm a programmer somewhere in generic Seattle/Austin. Doesn't really matter. This is a story of how my artist muse decided she was way too special to live with a sick husband, and then suddenly remembered I exist only after the news mentioned the number $30 million. Erica and I met in college. I studied computer science. She was an art major, a year below me. She used to walk around campus with an easel, in an oversized sweater, paint on her hands, and that eternal phrase, "I'm not like other people." Back then, I thought it was charming. We started dating in my sophomore year, and by the time we were graduating, I was sure she was the one. Right after graduation, we got married. Small wedding, friends, a bunch of promises about for better or worse. Spoiler, the worst part was apparently not included in her package. I got a job at a company where my friend Jeff worked. We'd been friends since childhood, and in college, we were the nerds who coded instead of partying. It was a small firm with big ambitions. I did back end, Jeff handled architecture. We spent nights in the office, and during the day, I'd come home to my artist, who kept promising that soon she'd be selling her paintings to galleries and take us to the next level. The first red flag rang when she started saying that life with a programmer is boring, and that I only think in numbers. At the time, it sounded like a joke. I took it as weird humor until my body decided to throw in a plot twist. The company paid for a routine medical checkup. I went in expecting the usual, you don't sleep enough, and instead got, we found a nodule on your thyroid. We need more tests. Then came more tests, more doctors, and at some point the surgeon almost casually said, yeah, it's thyroid cancer. But we caught it early, the prognosis is good. Surgery, therapy, and you'll live a normal life. You'll just need hormones for the rest of your life. I walked out of the hospital like I'd stepped into a parallel universe. The only thing I really needed to hear when I came home was, we'll get through this. But the reaction from the person who had promised for better or worse turned out to be interesting. That evening, I came home, sat down across from Erica on the couch, and told her everything honestly, the diagnosis, the treatment plan, the odds that I'd be okay. I was expecting hugs, tears, support. Instead, she went silent, gave me a long, empty stare, and then said, I can't do this, Michael. What exactly? I honestly didn't get it. I've been unhappy for a long time, she started, and now you're, well, sick. I can't suffer like this my whole life. I'm still young. I deserve inspiration, a real life, not taking care of a sick person. I literally lost my breath for a second. So the cancer is my fault now? That's not what I'm saying, she replied, putting on a hurt expression. You just ruined everything. And I met someone who really inspires me at an art exhibition. He's an artist too. And he's not like everyone else. He's already lived in 5 different countries. I realized our life is a mistake. We need to get a divorce. She pulled out a folder. The divorce papers were already prepared. She'd been waiting for a convenient moment, and my diagnosis turned out to be the perfect backdrop to paint herself as the victim. I just sat there like someone had whacked me over the head. Then something inside just clicked. Fine, I said. Let's get divorced. You're not even going to fight for our marriage? She asked, offended. Maybe if you hadn't decided to leave me the moment I got my diagnosis, I would have thought about it. But now, take your paintings. We were living in a rented apartment and didn't own much, but she still announced that she was taking my MacBook and I could keep the cat. I was in such a state that I just wanted to be left alone, so I said, okay, and stayed lying there. I don't know how long I was out like that, but it was the cat who snapped me out of it closer to dawn, scratching and meowing that he was hungry. In the morning, I called my close people, the really close ones. I don't have many friends, and now I have even fewer. The only people who were truly there for me were my mom, she has her own health problems, but still cooked soups for me after surgery, and Jeff. The surgery went well. The therapy was rough, but not deadly. Now I'm on thyroid hormones for life, but honestly, that's way better than living next to someone who treats your illness as their personal burden. Jeff has a big, supportive family, and he helped me a lot. Once I was back on my feet, Jeff suggested we start something of our own, since his parents had given him a small amount of capital. That year, Jeff and I and a few other guys teamed up and started working on our own projects. At first, it was just freelance, and then it turned into a startup. A few mobile apps, and one of the services just took off. Sleepless nights, nerves, bugs, patches, the usual startup chaos. Then one day, a big player came knocking, negotiations, meetings, lawyers, and one morning we signed the papers. Our startup was bought for $30 million with the condition that we'd join their company. They literally talked about it on the local news. A short segment, a group of young developers sold their startup to a tech giant. I was on screen for half a second. I wouldn't have paid much attention if a couple of days later my phone hadn't started singing an old song. A message from Erica for the first time since the divorce. Hi, Michael. I saw you on the news. I miss you so much. My life went downhill after our breakup. The guys I've dated all turned out to be jerks. I have to work as a waitress, and I have no time for my art. I regret so much how I treated you. I was reading this and could practically hear violins playing in the background. I replied very briefly, I'm really sorry things are like that for you, but you're a strong woman. You'll manage. Good luck. She didn't stop. She kept texting me almost every few days for about a month, how she missed our dinners, how she missed my quiet stability, how hard it was to pay rent. I answered politely a couple more times, then just stopped responding. That's when her mom joined the game. Michael, this is Mrs. Anderson. Do you understand how much my daughter is suffering? She was young. She made a mistake. You're a decent guy. You should help her get back on her feet. I'm very sorry to hear that, I replied, but we're divorced. I don't owe anyone anything. But you're rich now. How can you be so heartless? When the moral blackmail didn't work, the tone suddenly changed. I got another rant from her mother. If you keep acting like this, Erica will take you to court. She has no money, but she has a son, and you're obligated to pay child support. I sat there reading this and actually burst out laughing. Then I taped, wait a second, her son is how many years younger than our divorce date? Answer, silence. I continued. Even if we imagine I suddenly grew a second thyroid out of nowhere, the kid still isn't mine. A DNA test will settle that in a second. I have a new girlfriend. I have a new life. Stop bothering me, ma'am. I hit send, took a screenshot, and forwarded it to Jeff. He wrote back, bro, your karma works like well-written code, clean and bug-free. That was the end of it. No subpoenas, no court. I'm pretty sure someone they knew explained that the child support scheme doesn't work when the kid was born 2 years after the court officially ended our marriage. Sometimes I remember that moment when she looked at me with a stone face and said, I can't suffer next to a sick person. Back then, it destroyed me. Now I look at my girlfriend who wakes me up with my hormone pill and a cup of coffee, jokes about my upgraded version without a thyroid, and I realize the best thing Erica ever did was leave. She just did it in such an egotistical way that now it's almost embarrassing to recall I once thought of her as my muse. She sought freedom of inspiration and an easy life, but found this instead. As they say, a good artist should be poor and hungry and work as a waiter, or something like that. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.